Welcome to BBB, the Beauty Business Builder. This is the leading podcast in beauty business development. If you're ready to feel unstoppable and take your beauty business to the next level, then you're in the right place. Subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. You can connect with Essjay Hartshorn on social media and subscribe to Essjay's YouTube channel. Welcome to BBB.
Hi there, guys. This is Essjay from BBB, and welcome to another podcast. If this is your first time watching, then welcome. You are in for a treat today. We've got another live stripped back raw interview. If this is if you're a regular watcher, then thank you. You'll obviously know what these podcasts are about, and hopefully you've got some real valuable strategies and tips and so much knowledge from all these amazing people that I get on board as well for the interviews. I will encourage you to go back to the beginning after you've seen this, because I do think that if you are in the beauty industry, obviously times are very different right now. So if you go back, there'll be some real valuable things that you can take on board to help you thrive, develop, and expand your beauty empire, during this crazy time. So like I have said before, I am now doing shout outs on the podcast. So this is my way of getting you to leave a review. So if you leave me a review in the Apple podcast app that you get, then you might get a shout out for the show. So this is from Shell at MWAH Beauty. She's an esthetician, and her review that she left was thought-provoking. I am really enjoying these podcasts and already looking forward to the next ones. Definitely picked up some helpful tips already on how to get into the right mindset. Thanks, Essjay. So that is from Shell. She is in, like I said, the aesthetic industry. So yes, fabulous. So, okay, so today I have got a very special guest. Her name is Lindsey Capp, and she is a emotional intelligence coach. And we met in a very strange place, actually. We actually met in a waiting room of our kids' gymnastics studio. And then obviously just connected from there and kind of been secretly watching her work on Facebook and everything else, and wanted to get her on board because I think the timing right now for working with our emotional intelligence and our mindset, our creativity is just so essential right now. So I thought this is a perfect time. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Lindsey. Hello.
Hello, thank you. It's great to be on here to give back to the beauty industry.
Thank you very much.
Like you say, Jay, it's about our hearts as well as our heads. So we're going to really get deep into how we can support one another in this industry.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. So tell us about you. Tell us what you do and a little bit about you, so the listeners can understand.
Okay, so we deal with emotional intelligence, and it sounded a really big word. And what emotional intelligence is our learnt behaviours of past, how we have learnt to deal with emotional impact in the everyday way that we live. So emotional intelligence isn't something that we are given, it is something that we learn, and dependent on who taught us, so whether it was our mums, our dads, our parents, our guardians, dependent on their level of self-awareness, on their ability to deal with anger, depression, sadness, happiness, did they express it? That's how we learn, and unconsciously, that's how emotions start to impact us in the everyday way of being. So how do we become more self-aware? How do we bring more love, connection, and happiness to our lives? It's develop our emotional intelligence, understand how we operate and how we can have choice. Because I hear so many people say, well, I just get angry and I just feel really down, or I get really depressed. And you think, who taught you that? Because it's
not have that emotion for that thing. Yes.
It's not actually a thing. People say, I want to be more confident. And it's like, if you can't put it in a wheelbarrow, it's not a thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's a creation of a learning that has manifested thinking in our brains that says we're not, or we're not good enough, or we're not confident, and we're not outgoing. And that was taught to you. And when you can see that, when you can start to say, okay, so challenge that thinking. How do we become greater than the thoughts that we learned from past? And it's not necessarily go back to the past and look into childhood, but it's say, what do you want? What are you noticing? And what do you want instead? And from that place, emotional intelligence is developed and learned to bring about more emotional connection. So a bit about me is I came from a very challenging, abusive childhood. So we had alcoholic mother, self-harming mother, abusive father, bullying. So my whole life was a very catastrophizing, way of being. And
I've not heard that word before. I like that word.
Really? And we do, don't we? We catastrophize, especially in the feminine energy of us. We're like, oh my God, it's so bad. And why is this? And, that's our feminine side coming through, is we're lovers, we're nurturers, we're the passion. And I think the lovely thing about the feminine energy is that catastrophizing is real passion and drive and motivation. That's why we bear children and we direct and we come from the wings. We manifest and create magnificent things. And your followers, you've developed businesses, your mums, your entrepreneurs. How have you developed that drive and passion? You've ignited your feminine energy in the catastrophizing of, I'm not accepting what life just gives me.
Yes, yeah.
So in the catastrophizing, you get this immense force. And that's what makes us unique as individuals. So my background was I came from pain, and then I moved it very late. So at 41, I had my children, and I started to notice that depressive patterns of behavior were recurring. Now, I didn't speak like this back then. It was like, I'm just pissed off. Well,
and it obviously shows just the way you talk and present yourself just shows the kind of the kind of place that you're in, and I can't imagine somebody who's gone through all of that to sit there and talk, with that kind of, outgoingness. So it shows you that obviously what you've done has just transformed you. So what happened then when you had, obviously, fast forward to having kids and all these things started, kind of, you could see the patterns, of what your parents did. Yeah.
So really what I had is I had a sad story. And I think everyone who goes into brilliance comes from some form of story. So the churning point for me was my son was diagnosed with autism. I didn't know the autistic spectrum at all. I had no experience of autism, but he was bad. He was humming, he was banging his head off the floor, he was taking the skin from his face, he didn't communicate at all. And they said in the diagnosis, he won't go to mainstream school, he'll need a special needs school, he probably won't make friends like other children, he won't drive a car, he won't say he loves you like other children. And we had all this labeling going on that really put me, I think, at the time, into a deep depressive state of why me, and maybe this is relating, to the circumstances at the moment, like why me, why my business, why the beauty industry, why not their industry? It was that mindset, like not fair. Massively not fair. I didn't sign up to this. And I felt just deep depression, just a give up, and I think I bring this to you because we may all be going through that in some form of depth of, I can't do this. this isn't why I set up my business. This isn't why I had a child. This isn't fair. And I can't, that real dark hole. So what turned it around for me was I was in so much pain. There was only one way, and that was up. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it was like suicidal thoughts. It really got me by the short and curlies. Yeah. So I gave up my job. I was working in social work, in child protection. I gave it up because I needed to learn how to care for my child. So I had a 360, I thought I got a bag. And if we think about the, mapping it across to what we're going through in the beauty industry right now, is right now you signed up for something and it's not working as you had agreed it to work in your mind. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. And it's like not fair. Like, stop it. I want to go back. I want
my plan. Yeah, this was not my plan.
Yeah. And we can really get stuck in that mindset of I've tried everything. We got given the go ahead. Now I've got debt. How am I going to pay my bill? Yeah. It just snowballs into a deep abyss. And that's where I was at. I had one choice: give up or go forwards. Mm-hmm. And I think your listeners may resonate with this, is you have got two choices right now. Yeah. And the choice for me, I wanted to give up. I got to be honest. I wanted a different child. I didn't want this. And I had to go through that before I then said, shit to this. Come on, Linz, shit or bust. Yeah. You love this. He's your son. Yeah. He's not gone anywhere. Yeah, and it's the same thing. This is my business. This is my passion. This is my love. Yeah. So I then went and learned the autistic spectrum, and I sat in rooms with people with children on the spectrum with a mindset of he can't, she can't, they won't, they will not. And it was a real, and you'll get this in your situations of time, you will hear, I can't, we can't do that, I can't survive. It won't be the and if I can share my experience in a positive for all of you, it would be, you're right, you can't, but there's a flip side that you can. But we might need to change the goalposts. We might need to map out and paint a new picture. And I'm not saying it's easy. It was not easy to learn to communicate with my son through pictures. Mm-hmm. He didn't talk. It was not easy to have that hanging that he may never talk. He may never drive a car. But what did happen is that I had to change my thinking around it because it was eating me alive. I wasn't able to stay in love with my son if I believed those things to be true. Mm. And I suppose it's the same again. If you believe that it can't survive or that you can't survive, you can't stay in love with this industry. You can't stay in love with yourself. So
it's like looking, do you think a lot of people in this, in what you went through and also what people are going through right now in the beauty industry, people do think very short term. If you think of that moment of that truly hard moment that you was going through right then, you didn't want to do it. Whereas if you think 5 years down the line, where do I want to be 5 years down the line? And then it makes these things little obstacles, smaller obstacles to get through. And I say that with my coaching, that people think, obviously we've all been forced to shut. We're all in a real, bad way at the moment because we don't want to change. It's unfair. It's happened to us. But if we pivot slightly and we change our goalposts and we look at what we want to be in 5-10 years time, we can then start managing and working towards that. And these not fair, why me, all of that won't seem as big because we can do them small little segments because it's not going to, it's our long-term goal has been reset,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's more about, we can stay in the illusion of believing the thinking, believing the words that we're hearing, whether it's our internal words or somebody else's external words. But the minute we believe that as truth, we go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So it's, can we create a space between our thinking and our actual actions of what is truly happening? And in that space, know that, is it really true? Can I really know that this won't ever happen or get better? Can I ever know that I'm never going to be a success because of COVID? And the answer is always going to be no, of course, because everything is uncertain. But it's our ability to stay in the uncertain with the knowing that we are safe, that we will get through it, that we will be able to paint another picture, but we need a flexibility in our emotional intelligence, which is, do you want to? Are you willing to work with what you have to work with now? So I had to work with autism. There's no way it was going away. Like you may need to work with COVID, However, how you approach this will make the difference. So how I approached Ronnie, which was my son, is okay, I needed to communicate with him. He didn't talk. So I learned picture messaging. He started to talk at 5. Then I could get him in a school, but they didn't know how to communicate with him. So I had to get them to allow me to sit in the lessons. Yeah, money was tight. I was scared. I was back on benefits. I swore I'd never go on benefits. What was the priority? And when I got my priorities aligned, which was, I'm going to have to maybe take some steps back into uncomfortableness, into the not knowing, in order for any possibility to exist, which my long-term goal is, I want to love my son and I want to believe in his ability to be the best he can be. Same with our businesses. I want them to be the best they can be. I may need to manifest and create something that don't feel great right now. However, it's going to allow this possibility to exist. So roll it on. And my son started gymnastics where we met, and he then became the UK British gymnastics men's artistic champion, winning 7 golds and 2 silvers and 1 bronze in the best 75 boys in the country, England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales. And that's not at a disability level, that is at the top level.
And I've seen him. I don't see, obviously now we've got gymnastics, it's not on, parents can't go watch, but oh my goodness.
Look.
It's phenomenal.
There it is.
It's absolutely incredible. It's amazing gymnast.
But I use the story because it's real life of me, but I've had choices. And I could not have known that my son now goes to the grammar school. He's passed his 11 plus. He's got loads of mates. He doesn't even know he's on the autistic spectrum.
No.
Because he never needed the label. So the thing I share with you all is our emotional intelligence is very much about us noticing our thinking, noticing the thoughts and the language we use with ourselves and with others, because that takes us down a rabbit hole of believing it to be true.
Yeah.
If I had believed the child psychologist who said he would never, the chances are he would never. I couldn't know whether that was true, but I wanted to live in possibility.
Yes. Yeah.
So I share it with the thought that I'm not saying it's not hard, and I'm not saying there's a magic wand, but what I am saying is, would you be willing to sit with possibility of creating something different to what was planned, to what you had as your vision, in order to allow yourself the space to manifest greatness?
Yeah.
So from there, it really is about, do you know that you have emotional intelligence that you can change and learn? Do you know how we can manifest and create from this real shit time, real challenging time. The beauty industry, I believe, when I was thinking about this podcast, what can I share? I thought, you guys create an ability to connect with people by loving them. Beauty is love. Take it right back to philosophy. Greek gods, beauty is love. And you create love and connection. Yes, you sort of had your hands taken away from you, put behind your back. I have a brow lady, I have an eyelash lady, I have a hair lady, I have a Botox lady, I'm 47 and I think I want to look after me, because I feel the love from all of my ladies that take care of me to generate me to stay loving inside and out. Yeah. And you guys right now, as far as I can see, is your hands have been taken, but the people you are is why the client comes to you specifically.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's who you are. So you are the love. Yeah. Now, what you may need support in right now is reminding you of your worth as you do others. Sometimes, me as a coach, I can coach people and remind them, and I forget about me. It's topping your cup up and saying, you are the love, you are the connection, and your hands may be tied at the moment. How can we recreate it in our language of loving our clients currently? How can you deepen the connection and the love? How can you remind them how to love themselves without touching them?
Yeah.
And if we can do that with our language in, hey, how are you doing? What's going on?
Staying connected is just a massive part, and I've seen so much. The second lockdown is better, but in the first lockdown, it was so many people just hung up the tools and that's it. Never spoke to the clients, never connected with the clients, and just obviously got the money from the government. They were fine. They could survive. And then as soon as they're ready to open again, they just reconnect with everybody. And that really upset me, actually, because I was, and I'm a client as well for my eyelash, my Botox and everything else. Now, I've got 2 Facebook pages, 2 Facebook groups, and I've got my whole other Insta and everything else. I go live every single week, at least once on my clinic group. And I've done that I think I've missed one live in 18 months. And I'll go live, we'll do questions and answers, or I'll talk about skin, I'll talk about how I can help you look after your hands because you can't get to the clinic and all the anti-bac, and literally just giving them every week, Sometimes we just sat there and I'm in the garden and I says, right, bring a glass of wine, and we do Tuesday nights. That's where Tuesday nights come from. Tuesday nights for wine. So, and just staying connected, because I think people forget we are a very talented industry. We have learned so much, and people are coming to us, yes, because they want the treatment, but they're coming to us for us. They're coming because they like us. We don't have to be the best at what we do, but they're coming because we make them feel good, and they feel that connection when they come to us. So, staying connected is a massive thing, because this is going to build up that obviously the know, like, and trust, but also they're going to think of you when they talk to others out there. Oh, you need to go to my technician. God, she gives so much value. Every week she's there, going live, giving all this information. She makes me feel so great about myself. And I thought about this with like testimonials, and this kind of just is the nail on the head with what you said. If somebody's leaving you a testimonial, it's very rare that you'll say, oh, my nails are fantastic, I love the colour. You'll say something on the lines of, oh, I love going to Essjay, she makes me feel so good and she's so professional. And they're talking about the emotional love part and not the service part. And I looked at all my testimonials, and there might be 1 or 2 that are about the actual service. Everything else is about the confidence, how she's a person, how I would never go anywhere else because, we're good friends now. And that, it's just exactly hit the nail on the head with what you said. That's what people buy into.
Absolutely. So the power you are as a beautician, it doesn't get stronger than that you create unconsciously connection to love. And that is the biggest drug there is. That's the thing we all chase.
Yeah.
Love, connection, and peace. I sit when I have my lashes done, I fall asleep. It's so beautiful because it's so calming. So if I right now was to say to my lash technician, listen, I know you've got to pay your rent in your chair. I know you've got to pay your bills. We've had conversations where she's lost clients, and it's that panic of I'm losing clients, and what if they go there, or what if somebody does private work, or how, and I'm like, hey, you're forgetting the one thing. No one can do what you do like you do.
Yeah.
No one can do you.
Yeah.
No one. So what we want to manifest is, can you connect you to your clients? Now it's about the language. Now you may need to add a skill, which is, what's your tonality like? Because there's beauty in the voice. There's real beauty. How do you come across in your tone? What words are you using, and how are you listening? Because when we feel heard, we feel valued. When there's a tonality in the voice, unconsciously, there's just a loving connection with the voice.
Yeah.
Your hair, how are you going to care for me and love me? Because I'm going to feel it and it's going to land. It's like I've just paid you and I won't go anywhere, because unconsciously, also as women, we're very loyal.
Yes.
We're loyal if we feel it. If we feel a connection, you've got us. I mean, I've had my beauty people for years and years. And I like to think it's a mutual respect, because they've loved me and I remember that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to love you back, because you haven't just done my eyebrows. You've don't look at them now.
Look down.
Don't look now. And don't look at my eyelashes. But it's really about, you didn't just do my eyebrows. You listened to me when I was a little bit sad and I was having trouble in my relationship. You got the color right, and you took the time to do that for me. You got me compliments, and you got me my boyfriend. It gets that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so beautiful. It's like, you helped me. You weren't with me, but what you've done and the way
you helped me with my confidence. Yeah,
you've held me. You've held me in places that I couldn't hold myself, and I've trusted you, and I'm going to love you for that. So, this is big if we can manifest out of the thinking of chaos, of chaotic way of being, which is, oh my God, this is awful, this is unfair. And we go right back to the loop of, who said I was meant to get a son with autism? Who said I should? And who says you should be going through this right now? Life isn't fair. And if we sit in expectation that we should get fairness, it will destroy our passion. Let's keep it separate. Life isn't fair, and I can survive it, and I can create in this chaos, and I am not going to lose what I have built and developed and created. No way, not today, not on my watch.
Yeah.
So it's surrounding yourself with tools that support you to love you, because the more you're loving you, the more you're going to show up in that space to create love and connection in a different way, maybe, but still come from your uniqueness to then get back in the business when this lockdown stops. But it's for me, it's, what tools have you forgotten you've got? Your emotional intelligence, your flexibility under emotion, your optimism. Where is your optimism right now on a scale of 1 to 10? We do have to sit in self-awareness of truth. And if you can own it, you are so going to generate from that place.
Yes.
If you blame outwardly, then all you become is a victim to this situation, and it strip you of so much.
Yeah.
That is a choice. Now, as harsh as that sounds, somebody could.
No, it's true. It is a choice.
Or you got an autistic. Oh my God, that's so bad. And I could have easily gone, yeah, no.
No, he's going to be in special school. He's going to have to do this. He's going to have to do this. There was a book that I read as well. It's a business book. What was it about? Is it Think Rich? It has something.
Think, Grow Rich Think.
Is this the one with the boy that was deaf?
Yes. Think and Grow Rich.
That's the one. And it's exactly the same. I'm listening to that, and it's just exactly the same. He was told he's never going to hear, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, I don't believe that. You're not going to, I'm going, and I'm not going to put him in special school. He's going to hear. We are going to get him to that. And it's amazing. It just relates exactly what you've just said with Ronnie. It's just exactly the same. And it shows you that, the emotional intelligence over the scientific facts can completely change the end outcome.
So let's roll it on. So we did Ronnie, and from Ronnie, I got the evidence. What about if I did me? What if I was the uneducated, single mum of 3, never married, getting in her 40s? Could I get business? Yeah, could I? Could I really? So I started and did NLP, which is the neuralistic programming of our brains, how we program ourselves to have habits. Then I learned the coaching aspect. Then I went on, I did NLP to master's level and train the trainer so I can train it. And then it came to the emotional intelligence, and the emotional intelligence was the key for me. It was the language matched with our own self-love, our own self-worth, our own self-awareness. If we understand something, the chances are we're going to really create from that place. It's only from confusion and not knowing do we stay stuck in the same patterns of thinking and being. As soon as we get something, it's like, and it moves us, I always say like a lift, it moves us up a floor of consciousness. And for this, what's happening now, it's firstly, the question is, are you willing? Are you willing to use your optimism? Are you willing to use your assertiveness and your independence? And are you willing to have self-expression with self-love? Are you going to talk to yourself in a loving way, or are you going to have a defeatist way of speaking? Are you going to listen to those truths that we might not open again, and we might... What are you doing day to day? Are you going into the black hole of abyss? Yeah. And is it stripping you of your ability to create? Because it will, if you listen to it. Or are you going to stay here right now and say, do you know what? I have so much now I can create. Yeah. I am so kicking the ass out of my EI, my emotional intelligence, and I'm going to change how I speak to me. In order for me to speak to others, I need to love me, because the minute I love me, I can love another. The minute I connect back to my power and turn my pain to power, I literally am now a creating force. So what do I need, and how can I achieve it? We come from that place. We're now manifesting a whole new picture. So for me, it's the language. So the bit I'd love to share with everybody is, okay, Linz, that sounds great. Tell me how. Tell me what to do then.
I'm ready.
What do I do? So I'd love to share with you. We have 3 types. Now I'm doing this real basic, but let's get nitty and gritty. We've got adult, parent and child language. And basically, when we notice the language in which we speak to ourselves or somebody speaks to us, we can have an understanding that will give us a choice. So the adult language is where we want to sit more, where we create. Yeah. The parent language, and I'm using parent loosely just as a generalization to understand, but the parent language is the dictation. I can't, I won't, you won't, stop it, don't, why. You know, all those dictation language.
Makes sense.
Why is this happening? You shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be doing that. What happens is when we listen to parent language, we become a child. We go into a rebellious or a conforming child. So a rebellious child will respond to that kind of language with, who says? Why should I? It's not down to you to tell me. And there'll be like a fisticuff sort of rebellion going on. And there's no winners in that. You should create something else. Well, you don't know what it's like for me. You don't know what I've been through. No sense. Winners. We're both down a rabbit hole of shit, really. Then you have the conforming child that will say, oh, I know, I just don't know what to do. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm trying my best and I've tried. And they will make justification on why they are like they are. You should be doing more. Yeah, I know I should. I just don't know how. I've tried everything and I'm all out of ideas. And there's no winner there either.
Yeah.
When somebody tells us we should, we must, stop it, don't. When we move into adult language, the adult language is where we have possibility. And that is maybe, can, will. It's words like possible, could you, would you, when.
Yeah.
So we're in that language. When I have this, I can. Could we possibly create a new way of being? Would you be willing to? What we're doing is we're inviting and teaching our brains and leaving space for somebody else to join us in connection. You know, maybe right now it is tough and maybe we can come out of this well. What there is there's an invitational space that allows you to show up. That deepens a connection. If you say, this is a really crap time right now, and you know what? It is hard, and I don't know how we're going to come out of this. It's like, wow, how different does that feel and sound? And the only thing we've done is change the words.
Change the words, yeah.
So we really want to now look at, how are you talking to yourself? Are you parenting yourself? Are you being a rebellious child? Are you conforming? Or do you want to sit in adultness, which is respect on respect, possibility on possibility, creation, which is, this may be really challenging. However, right now, we've got a space to create in this time something new.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, come on, let's live there more often.
Yeah, no, it's just, and the thing, the way you say it, it's just, you know, we all do it. We all say can't, no, won't, not gonna. You know, we all have their moments, but just by changing, you know, like you say, getting into the adult mode, just changing the words that we use in our heads, or the, you know, how am I going to do this? When can I do this? Is this possible? How can I give that service to my clients without touching them? How can I, you know, and that will then just completely explore all avenues across, you know, across all fields, really.
And Essjay, it feeds our neurological pathways in our brain, which sounds very impressive, by the way, but it's really just our patterns, you know, the things that we've learned. So I am very much an away from person. So I always talk about what I'm getting away from. I don't want this. I talk in what I don't want rather than what I do want. It's more natural for me because I came from a poverty mindset. So that's natural, but I have to work on, when somebody said to me, what do you want? I was like, I didn't have a clue. It's not about, what do you mean? What do I want? How do I do that? That's selfish. You know, the patterns. But when we have an understanding of how to do something different, the minute we do something that isn't naturally comfortable, we start to mess about with the habitual patterns, which means we create change. So if you want change in your life and you really want to feel better in your everyday, because there's a feeling that's crappy and horrible, we have to change the language in which we are speaking to ourselves.
And this is the long-term change as well. Like you're saying, if you're affecting them parts of the brain, is this something that the more you do it, it's just then going to become second nature? So then before you know it, it's, it's not a momentary thing. It happens in that moment. It is a change that goes on. Is that right?
Yeah, so let me tell you, I'll get so excited about this stuff. I know, I'm like, oh, let me tell you. So we have a chemical in our brain called myelin, and myelin is released. If you think of a round disc in our brain, this is called a neuron. And a neuron is something that then has a neurite, which attaches to it. So it's like, when you see in Matrix, the little round things with the little spider legs.
Yeah.
That's a neurite, and we have trillions and trillions of those in our brain. And what they attach to is new learning. So when we go to get on a bike, we sit on a bike, and a neuron is a memory in our brain. So there's thousands and trillions of neurons. But to actually learn something, a neurite has to attach to a neuron to then create a memory. So we get on a bike, a neurite goes, oh, something new, and attaches to a neuron, and we start to pedal. And we release a chemical in the brain called myelin. And myelin wraps around a neuron every time we learn something. So we get on a bike, we pedal it, we fall off. We've learned something. A layer of myelin wraps around a neuron. We get on a bike again, we pedal with stabilizers. We're like, oh, we've got it. Another layer of myelin goes around the neuron. Then we take the stabilizers off. We get on the bike, we fall off. Oh, shit, another layer of myelin. I won't do that again.
Yeah.
And then we learn to ride a bike. 50 layers of myelin create an installed memory. So we get on a bike now. We have a memory in our brain of how to ride a bike. We know how to do it. We don't have to think about it because we've got 50 layers of myelin that are attached around a neuron in our brain when we've learned anything. So when you learnt beauty, you were releasing myelin that was wrapping around a neuron, how you did brows. Then you learnt something else, how you did. Now you know.
Yeah.
You have it in there. Now we stop releasing myelin around the age of 50. It slows down. And this is why we get dementia, because we stop releasing so much myelin. So we stop learning, developing new
things. Okay, yeah.
So myelin starts to disintegrate, and this is where we get dementia in old age, and why we need connection, why the brain starts to shut down, because if we're not learning, we're not growing, and so we start to disintegrate. And this is where old age takes hold in the brain, why we start to become forgetful. Because we have to work harder to manifest memories to keep the myelin going, because it's not naturally distributed in our body up until the age of 50. At the moment, it's being released. It's being released, but it starts to slow down from the age of 50. So what we learn in this is, if you want change, if you want to up your emotional intelligence, your optimism, your how you view you, your assertiveness, your creativity, we got to start somewhere with something new. And in newness, it's clunky, like when we drove a car, mirror signal maneuver.
Yeah.
Like, oh God, am I ever going to drive normally?
Yeah.
And now you just get in the car and you do it.
Do it.
Because you have a neuron memory. So for us to do any kind of change, if you want to change your mindset, change the way you are feeling, we need to interrupt the pattern and create a new pattern of behavior. So even if you can create a way that you speak to yourself that's different from what's normal, so you will have to go through that clunky phase where it's intentional, where you say, I'm not going to use the word why.
Well, you have to really think about it. You have to go through those stages. Yeah.
So I'm not going to say can't. That's it. I'm gonna replace it with maybe.
Yeah.
Even if you set that intention, you're going to start producing a positive mindset memory, a positive language memory. And like you say, I didn't show up like this. I mean, I'm uneducated. I've no exams. I started at 41, so I've not been doing this long. But the work that I've invested, I've created an over 6-figure business, a single parent of 3 children, and I create classes and change people's lives from companies saving £2.9 million to people stopping, jumping off of cliffs, taking overdoses, saving marriages, by them really sitting in a space to learn new ways to love themselves in love and connection. So sharing with you guys really is about somebody might have tied your hands for now, but the love and connection you can share, you have all the opportunities now to manifest and create. Yeah. And this will be the turning point maybe of your business because people remember this time.
They do.
So you've got an opportunity.
I feel like I need to stand and give you an applause. It's amazing. It really is, and that kind of explanation, with your Nuro, that is just phenomenal because it makes sense. It makes sense. It's so nice understanding, when we do things and when we make mistakes and learn from them and what is actually happening. So phenomenal.
Yeah, and doesn't this show us, Essjay? Just life does deal us a hand. And I'm not saying that life is not dealing you guys a shit hand right now. However, it will not serve you for me or you or any of us to sit in a bath of shit and say how crap it is. Yep, it really is. But do you want to get out or do you want to stay in? And it's like, let's get out. And then it's the how. When you can understand that everything you're doing right now is in creation of something bigger, that if I said to you in 2 years' time what you did here and now in this space was the manifestation of that, you do it, right?
Yeah.
It's, are you willing to not know? I could not know that my son could achieve the magnitude that he's achieving. But you know what? I don't think I would want to have known because the drive that I had from that pain, the manifestation of absolute brilliance, and I wouldn't be the owner of the business that I have.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't.
You see, it's so key.
Yeah.
In adversity, as cliche as it sounds, the best things are created if you are willing to see impossibility.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's the only question that I think I would love to say to everybody listening to the podcast is, are you willing? And if the answer is the next question is, what do you need?
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the only starting place we need to start from.
Yeah. See, I did it at the beginning of the first lockdown. I kind of was, I had so much I wanted to do, and doing clients every day, I couldn't do all this other stuff that I wanted to do. So for me, it was like, I've been given time. I have been given time. I was buzzing. I never had a podcast at the beginning of the first lockdown. I never had my YouTube channel. I never had all my people on my coaching program. I never had a coaching program. I never had any of that because I was like, I would refuse. I kept thinking to myself, I am not going to be one of them businesses that say, oh yeah, COVID, my business failed in COVID. I thought, I'm not going to say that. I've said that before because I had a beauty salon way back, and I shut at the recession, and I blamed the recession. Oh, it was a recession. Recession did it. No, it didn't.
Yeah.
I did it because I didn't work with the cards I were given and start to kind of like explore and diverse and everything else. So, I've always said to myself when the first lockdown hit that I would never, ever say them words, oh yeah, my business failed because of COVID. It was all about, right, what can I do? How can I create something from this absolute shitstorm, basically?
Exactly.
How can we do it? So,
And you know what, Essjay? You needed to lose your salon then. You couldn't have known, but to be in the place that you are, in the woman that you are, in the brilliance of how you are helping other people and supporting other people, you needed that wisdom to get here.
Yeah.
And so if we can really trust in the fact that life is happening for us, not to us, which is really tough. If someone said that to me when I got that diagnosis, I think I would have nutted them. Yeah, I literally would have gone, you can shovel the happy clappy shit. Because when we're in pain, it's real. It's really real. However, if somebody would have said, do you know what, kiddo? You've got this and you're going to come good. And you may need to just trust and not know. Would you be willing, please, to just keep going? I would have gone, okay. And I would have been scared. And I was scared. And there's no freedom from that. This is tough. This is scary. All of it is. Having a baby is scary. Getting married and thinking you're going to be with them for the rest of your life. It's scary. But thank God, because that's emotion. We think we want numbness and straightness, but you know what? We'd die.
Yeah.
We need the chaos to ignite us.
Yes.
The question I always think is, what do you ignite in chaos? Do you ignite depression? Do you ignite a mindset that says I can't? And would you be willing to change that crap?
And ignite the emotion of I can, I will, and I'm gonna. Oh God, this is amazing. It's like a therapy session. I love it. Absolutely love it. So what, Lindsey, for anybody that wants to connect with you, obviously I'm going to put your bits and stuff at the bottom of this feed, but if anybody wants to reach out and connect, what's the best way? How can they find you?
So if you go on lindseycapp.com, I have a website up there that gives you lots of information really around, do you want to do the learning? So I run courses on learning your own emotional intelligence and reports. I do courses for coaches to develop them to reach 6-figure, 7-figure businesses. I do one-to-one coaching for people to really help them in love and connection and turn things around. And the other one is if you just want to watch from the sidelines and get used to this, because it's a big concept.
Yeah.
I have a Pain to Power group on Facebook, and I have my Facebook group, which is Lindsey Capp. So really there's lots of options. You can watch, you can look, you can take some freebies.
Yes.
Or if you really are in pain and you want to turn this around quick and fast and you want to get into some work, you can work with me on a one-to-one basis.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's, I think a lasting sort of message is you can turn this around when you believe you can. Yeah. And that's as simple as it gets. If you stop listening to the thinking and to know you are not your thinking, a person is not their behavior, that we have every opportunity the minute we decide we do.
Yeah. Fabulous.
Yeah.
What an amazing interview. Probably one, don't tell anybody, or don't tell anyone, I'm putting in broadcasting it, one of my favourite ones. So thank you so much, Lindsey. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. I've loved being in a space with you. And I suppose really, Essjay, the stuff you're doing is inspirational to others. And we don't ever really gauge how much that does, but it's never underestimate the power of coming from passion and love. So it's brilliant what you're doing, and it's been a pleasure being.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.